Hey, what's up, everybody? Episode 136. Wow. I think tonight's going to be a good one. Grab a drink. Let's have some fun. Happy Monday. Yeah. Come on in. Happy Monday. Hold on. Wait. The remote. There we go. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Come on in. Oh, look, I can control the volume here. I always forget. What is going on? I'm in a good mood. Yeah, cheers. Happy Monday. If you're new to this, welcome. This is Evening Hour Live, episode 136. My name is Adam Cardone, and I got a good subject tonight. We're going to have fun. If you're new, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, all that nonsense. It is very hard to develop a channel on these platforms when they favor corporate media. They hate people like me, but I have a solid audience, especially my live crew that comes on in. So, cheers, everybody. What else was I going to say? My bot, Zalfon, is down. That's my fault. So, if you see any shenanigans, alert me. If you're new, hey, Ruth, Fallon, Mama, everybody's in here. This is the crew. William, Ashworth, who else? There's some new people in here that I didn't know. Somebody named Adam, I think, and Elior. If I know you as another name, please introduce yourself. Sometimes I know somebody on here my whole life, and they're using an alias. Say hi. It's a chatty show, and read the comments as they're coming in live. I'm here. Oh, so can we curse? I guess you can. I will not be able to stop it. I'm not gonna curse because they demonetize you now, and they're listening to our words in detail now. It's not a joke. Yes, welcome new people. We got a good subject tonight. Come on in. Now, before we get into the subject, I have a few things, movies, books, pop culture nonsense I'd like to talk about. Yeah, swear. Yeah, you can swear. Honestly, I don't care if people swear. It means nothing. It's more about, like, appeasing robots. I have a robot that helps me appease the robots. How's that? As the channel goes, yeah, everybody new, hit the like, hit the subscribe. You know that. Tell your friends. If you like to donate to these things, what the heck? Donate. You can donate $1, $2, $20, $100. You don't have to donate anything. But if you do, you know what? It's great. It helps me. I do these things full time. This is what I do. Other than that, sit back, pour a drink. It's Monday, my favorite day of the week. January is becoming my favorite month of the year. Today, I did something that's kind of a pain in the ass, but it was 52 degrees here. I flipped my hot tub, I call it, flipping. That means I drain it, clean it, fill it up again. It's heating up right as we speak, and I put all the new salt and the chemicals that have to go in it. It's a lot harder to do than a fish tank. It's well worth it. It's like having a pet, having a nice hot tub. Hey, Ryan, come on in. Say hi, everybody. Welcome. So I flipped to the hot tub. It was warm out. I wanted to get it done. It's time. And so I did that. And I'm in the middle of my, what I call wizard training in the winter. My winter wizard, my winter wizard training, which is reading like a freak. And I just finished Twilight. Oh, here, where is it? I wanted to show it to you. Goodness. Where is my books? I've been hiding them all. Oh, here. I just finished this. Twilight of the Idols. Boom! It also has the Antichrist in it, which I already read. Loved it. Twilight of the Idols had a finish, an ending very similar to Beyond Good and Evil. It kind of came together at the end into a very similar ending to Beyond Good and Evil, which would be a bad review for most things. Hey, it had the same ending. But the reason why I like Friedrich Nietzsche so much is that his writings are fractal. Everything he's talking about, he's saying the same thing over and over and over and over again in every book. And if you read his works from the beginning on, you can see it developing, his idea. Not developing, you can see them getting honed in. He had some notions right away, and when he honed them in, they became unique to Friedrich Nietzsche. So, big fan. I'm right now reading Friedrich Nietzsche's book that came out after he croaked, called The Will to Power. It was edited by some jerks that... It's interesting. This book is considered to be a historic forgery, yet a must-read. It's really good. But he didn't publish this. He didn't intend it to come out like this. His notes are in here mixed with some other stuff. But I really like it so far. I'm about very not much into it, and it is fantastic. While I'm reading this, I'm also reading Schopenhauer. This here was Essays and Aphorisms. I've been reading about him for a while. I know a lot about him. I know what his philosophy is. I know about his works. I know him through Nietzsche, mostly. But I'm loving it. It's different than the Nietzsche stuff. It's like it's getting ready for it to come. He noticed some cool things in here that then Friedrich Nietzsche took and went way darker. But also, not only did it get darker with Nietzsche, I think he brought it out into a light of sorts that is what this is missing. I have read that. Oh, Gorgias. I have read this. Excellent. Yeah, I did like that. I read it. It's cool. Yep. I'm trying to remember. They're having a debate over... I think Gorgias... This is Dan in there saying he's reading Gorgias by Plato. I believe Gorgias is debating whether or not rhetoric is of a value. It's pretty fascinating. Now, here's the book that I've been thinking about, and then I just did it. And this is blowing my head off. So let me ask you, if you were asked to name... Oh, anti-mame. Wow, that's cool. I'm going to put my feet in the thinking position already. Rhetoric. Yeah, that's it. They're arguing whether or not rhetoric is like a valid thing. Because you can kind of do a lot with it. Rhetoric is powerful, as we all know. I like that story. Now, if you were asked to name the top 5 writers since the dawn of time, you'd have the Shakespeare in there, and I'm trying to think of a modern writer that has transcended the world. Shakespeare for sure comes up right away. But the one that you never hear, you hear about it, but not one person in my life has ever said, you must read, I just read, I just saw a film, I just saw a lecture on Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. No one talks about him. It looks like Goethe. If you read it, here, this is what it looks like. Goethe, but it's pronounced Goethe, which is maybe why he's not so popular. Homer, exactly. The Homers. Now, I know people that have read Homer, and I've read Homer. You know what I mean? Like, You hear about that one. But Goethe, I don't know anybody that like, I'm reading Goethe right now. I don't never hear it. I never heard of anybody reading Faust. I just never heard of it. But I read a lot about, from a bunch of smarty pants, of how great he is. And so, especially Friedrich Nietzsche. And so, I honestly was like, I want to know. I mean, obviously, he knows what he's talking about, this von Goethe guy. And right away, I mean, I read the intro to this giant selected, it's called The Essential Guide. It's a bunch of his works. So I read the intro and was blown away by this guy's life. I mean, he really was a Renaissance man. Most famous, he wrote Faust, a Tragedy, parts 1 and 2. He took his whole life to write this play, that's basically unperformable. It's like 4.5 hours long each part. Most people never perform it. It's considered one of the greatest things ever written, ever. And yet, I don't know one person that's like, yeah, I read that. Nobody. Or have I ever heard that it's good? I know, but listen, Ruth, I know he is widely read, but by whom? I don't know anybody personally. Maybe you've read him, but I don't really know anybody that's read this stuff. It's kind of crazy. I went to a smarty pants college, and I never, ever once heard or was recommended to read this. Oh, you're reading Will to Power for the third time. I love it. I mean, I've read it now 1.5 times, and I'm going to read it a few more times. I mean, really. You know, you got to read Jason. If you like that, I don't know if you've read Human All Too Human. It's great. But the thing I liked about this I read right away some of his poems, and right away I liked them. And then I started to read Faust. Oh, here, wait, this is good. Okay, yeah, everybody's familiar with the Faust story, and he didn't read it. I mean, he didn't invent the story. He just wrote his version. Yeah, people know about it, but no one knows the details. So if somebody said, describe his play, The Faust, which I'm reading right now, I would say right away, first of all, how the hell do you translate and make it rhyme? It blows my mind. You trip through. You might want to have a peek, Fallon, now, because I'm blown away. It's really fun to read. How do you make it rhyme? You read in German, and then you're going to translate it to English and make it rhyme perfectly? Okay, so it's rhymes. It's got a bounce. It's easy to read and understand. And my first impression is that I'm reading. This is why I'm. Oh, okay. Yes, it is good. My first impression is that it's the Faust story, but it's a philosophical journey. It really is. It's like reading a philosophical dialogue, right away. And I wanted to read a little part of this, if you don't mind. Just a little piece of Faust, part 1. That's the translator's biggest. I mean, it really blows my head how these translators can make it rhyme. So, the play starts off with Prelude on the Stage, which I didn't know. And it's the director, a clown, and a poet having a dialogue. So right away, you know that this guy is a philosopher. I don't even have to read this part of the play. It literally starts off with a character that says director, clown, poet. I mean, there are 3 characters on stage. So right away, it's meta. Okay? What year was this written? 17... Or was it written? Well, it was written from the late 1700s into the early 1800s. He wrote it. He kept redoing it and making it better. I've heard part 2 isn't as good. But, so it starts off with this director guy, and this poet and a clown, and then it jumps to heaven with God and Mephistopheles, right? And I just want to read when Faust first shows up, or what he says. It's the first part of the tragedy. This is before all the intros and whatnots. It says, night in a high-vaulted, narrow Gothic room. Faust sits restlessly at his desk. And I'd like to read, if you don't mind. And this is Faust speaking. And let me know if this sounds okay. I'm just going to read a little bit. I just want you to hear what it sounds like, and how easily this is to jump on and digest, because I wasn't sure. Medicine and law and philosophy. You've worked your way through every school. Even, God help you, theology, and sweated at it like a fool. Why labor at it anymore? You're no wiser now than you were before. You're a master of arts, and doctor too. And for 10 years, all you've been able to do is lead your students a fearful dance through a maze of error and ignorance. And all this misery goes to show there's nothing we can ever know. Oh yes, you're brighter than all of those relics, professors and doctors, scribblers and clerics. No doubt or scruples to trouble you, defying hell and the devil too. But there's no joy in self-delusion. Your search for truth ends in confusion. Don't imagine your teachings will ever raise the minds of men or change their ways. And as for worldly wealth, you've none. What honor or glory have you won? A dog could stand this life no more. And so I've turned to magic lore. Yes! I love it! Oh, okay. So, this is great. It's easy to understand. There's a hook right away. For the philosopher, there's a hook. For the person that likes this kind of... It's really good. Okay. So, anywho, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I think he doesn't do so well in English because his name is such a weird name. It doesn't read well in English. It's like such a hard name. Okay. Oh yeah, here, another book I've been chewing on for 10 years. The Historicity of Jesus. Richard Carrier. Excellent book for the Jesus mythicist. Now, let's quickly move to a couple little things about board games and then into tonight's subject. Tonight at midnight, my favorite board game in the world is going on Kickstarter for its 5th printing. You cannot buy this game in this normal game store, okay? It is a board game that is campaign style. So when you're done playing it, you can leave it. I mean, it keeps going as long as the world doesn't blow up in the game. And I'll show you right now. I've been running turns for this campaign for a while. Look. So right now, this is the board setup. There's some players way down here. And this is what the board looks like. And so tonight at midnight, there's a link in my description. I'm going to do a show next week on this game. Next week, I'm going to run a show. Boardgasm is another show on this channel. And I'm going to teach how to play the first few turns of this game. So if you're a gamer, a nerd, a miniature painter, into anything nerdy, stay tuned for a Boardgasm episode on Dungeon Degenerates. I've done a few. I'm a major fan. He does not pay me to do this. If you're watching, Sean, congrats on your 5th printing of this. It's a really good game. The art, the fluff, the gameplay, it's fantastic. It's my favorite board game. So stay tuned. Tonight at midnight, it goes on. What else? Tonight's episode, I'm going to read the episode, and then I'm going to show a little 6-minute video. The episode tonight is called Your Hobbies Will Save Your Life. And I am not saying that to exaggerate or for ironic purposes. Seriously, I really mean it when I say that. And I'd like to show you a video of somebody who had a cool hobby. The that I think you guys, if you haven't seen this, you're going to get a kick out of it. Enjoy this for a second. I'll be back in a few minutes. Watch this. This is crazy.
From an ever-growing family of dogs to an ever-growing army of toy soldiers at the Kensington home of film actor Peter Cushing. For in his spare time, Peter, an enthusiastic member of the Model Soldier Society, collects, makes and acts as general to an army over 5,000 strong. These troops, from every period of military history, are the result of meticulous research into uniforms and military techniques. Cushing often links hobby and film career, portraying military leaders in films like The Black Knight and Alexander the Great, and then creating in miniature the armies of these historical characters. Many of these tiny replicas are made from compressed drawing paper, delicately hand-painted and with detachable swords and helmets. But surrounded by these miniature masterpieces, Cushing is not content to just sit and admire them. He plays with them. He plays with them solemnly and conscientiously, according to the rules laid down by H.G. Wells in his famous book, Little Wars. The title is described as a game for boys from 12 to 150, and for that more intelligent sort of girl who likes boys' games and books. In fact, the game has been and is played most soberly by distinguished people. It's said that Napoleon was an enthusiast. Played rather like a game of chess, but more exciting, the battle area is first laid out to the player's specifications, and then in turn artillery, cavalry and infantry clash, or take evasive action according to the player's generalship and spirit. Altogether a fascinating test of ingenuity and, more important, good marksmanship by the gunners firing their toy shells, proving, if we needed proof, that playing soldiers is one. From an ever-growing family of dogs to an ever-growing army of toy soldiers at the Kensington home of film actor Peter Cushing. For in his spare time, Peter, an enthusiastic member of the Model Soldier Society, collects, makes and acts as general to an army over 5,000 strong.
Live cam. There we go. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. All right, somebody is saying Dungeon Degenerates. Ashworth. Yeah, Dungeon Degenerates is a sick game. It really is. So I wanted to talk about this because I have a life of hobbies. A lot of people, I really want to dig into this, and I hope people have things to say about this. I have a lot of hobbies, and a lot of times when people come over to my house, I take that back. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I have a few hobbies that have a lot of facets to them. Okay, that's what I meant to say. It's very important. And a lot of people, when they come over to my house, they notice that I have a lot of miniatures and collectibles, as you can see behind me, and books and records and things like that. And people are really like, whoa, you have so much stuff. It's like a museum. And honestly, I don't think I have that much stuff. I only have a few rooms of things. But there's a reason why I think it seems vast. And I'm curious of what your thoughts are. But at an early age, I was really thinking about my life and how it all began and what was the genesis of this, quote, hobby life. Because I've figured out how to make a living doing most of my hobbies. They've all kind of become a way to make money and to live, and they're a lifestyle. And I don't want to use the word community because I don't really feel like... I never liked that word community. I'm very careful to use that word. So, yeah, the music is cool, right, William? I like that you noticed that. So my first thing that caught my eye, that truly was in my heart as I really like this, and I have it right here. I should have gotten it ready. I don't know why I didn't. It was magic, specifically this book. Literally, this book right here changed my life. This is not the original copy I checked out of the library, but it is a copy that I received from my dad quickly after. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, oh wow, that's cool, Ruth. We should talk about that. That's neat. So magic right away was an interest I had. It was mysterious. It was fun. It was something I could mess around with. It was something I could read about. It's something that there were books in the library on it, And that's my first earliest love, like that I really think of that I put effort into. I already liked monster movies and things, but I didn't put a lot of effort. You have that book, Neuron Crux. I have a few copies. It's literally, if somebody says, what's your favorite book? That's the first one that pops into my head. And then I would say my second hobby right after magic is what I would call my sciences. And that would be UFOs, Bigfoot, and the occult. Right? The weird section in the library. The mysterious section. That was my forte. Any library I went into, the first thing I would look for are occult books, UFO books, Bigfoot books, right? And then the magic trick section. Books on the history of magic, history of showbiz, stuff like that. They were my first loves. And that turned into more of an occult science thing. Yes, I like UFOs and Bigfoots and still do, but I have answers now of where it comes from in my own studies, like the Bigfoot stuff. The UFO stuff I still pay attention to. I've come around in my ideas of the UFO stuff. I actually think most of it is BS now. Even the stuff the government's admitting, I don't think it's UFO stuff. I don't. I did for many years, and I've seen a few things now that would say the other. I'd like to hear this story. Yeah, this is interesting, Basement. And then, okay, so I have the magic going, right? All these, and I took it seriously, my magic studies. I really did. I kind of kept track of what books I was reading at an early age. I was a little kid. I was little and tiny. My mom will tell you, I was a little skinny little guy, and I wasn't a sports guy. I wasn't big or fast I guess fast because I was little, but I wasn't like an athlete. People weren't like, that guy's an athlete. So basically, my likes went to right away, dark, dusty library, stay home and make things with your own hands kind of a thing. Wow, you're going to love it. I'm wondering which one you got, Ruth. I hope it's the one that has a cover that looks like this and not the new cover. And the only reason why I say that is there's a trick that's in this book that is not in the new repressings because of political correctness. And the trick that they cut out is actually quite extraordinary. It's something professional magicians have done on TV. I won't say what it is. It's in this book. As I'm learning about things in the library and learning about magic, as a little kid, as a little boy, for your birthday and for Christmas, you get toys. And I loved my toys. I did. I really liked the toys that I had. And I always thought it was sad when I met other kids that destroyed their toys. I took care of my toys. For me, playing with my toys wasn't just having a pretend session. It was taking care of them too. I actually enjoyed taking care of my toys. And so I try to teach that value to my kids. Taking care of your own things. So my relationship to a hobby at an early age had a few areas on it already that weren't normal for what other kids around me were doing. And so I'm itchy. Pardon me. I'm scratching my back. It's itchy. And I'm pretty flexible, and I can scratch all the way to the top. That's from being able to do straitjacket escape. I reach up and do the top buckle this way. Anywho, so then right after, toys, I'm taking care of my toys. I have a little miniature collection. And then basically I'm reading these. Yeah, okay, so you get it. Yeah, I was into taking care, making sure each miniature, each toy, each soldier, each Star Wars guy or whatever had his original gun. And I would put them in bags and kind of organize them or put them on shelves or same with my books. I kept everything organized so that it would last longer. I liked looking at these things as an art, as a something to inspire, and I liked playing with them. So it wasn't just one level. This is going somewhere. You'll see. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people in this chat right now have this in common. We care about the edges of something, not just the thing in itself. Okay, which is to me what's very important at the end of this whole subject tonight. So while that's all going on, my introduction to the world of nerdy games came pretty early. I saw somebody playing Dungeons and Dragons. I went to a game store. And when I say game store, I mean we called them hobby stores. You couldn't go to the bookstore and buy role-playing game books or miniatures or board games. You had to go to a nerdy game store. And they were called hobby shops. And they sold model kits and they sold train supplies for building miniature trains. They also sold Dungeons and Dragons books and Warhammer books and things like that. And we had a place where I grew up. One, it was not cheap. The owner was not cool. He was kind of a mean guy. We did not hang out in the game store. He didn't like us hanging out. He wouldn't let you read the books in the store. He was very strict, and he was paranoid of getting stolen from. I don't blame him. If he would have been loose about it, I can guarantee you I would have been terrible at that age. So, oh wow, this is cool. You make and paint your own minis. I love it. So, honestly, oh wow. Whoa, this is great. Oh wow, this is so, you got to read the chats, everybody. So yeah, the monster model kits, I loved all that stuff. So, the world of gaming to me seemed crazy. It seemed kind of expensive. Like, you can't have everything. You can only get certain things because it's too much money. It seemed very vast. It seemed smarty pants. The kind of kids that were interested in that stuff seemed a little bit more on the, they like to read. Let's just say that. They also like Monty Python, and they also, at the time, the nerd culture that I grew up around were renegades and weren't trying to be accepted and fit into anything. We knew we were freaks, and we didn't mind it. And we kind of relished in it, and it kind of gave us power. And we didn't need approval, and we didn't need to fit in, and we didn't need to be included. We didn't care. We knew we weren't, and that was fine, and it made it even better, actually. We didn't cry that we wanted to be accepted. We didn't do that. Why would we? We didn't need anybody. And I think that makes people upset. That we didn't care, you know? It made them even madder. So the gaming was rolling along, and then as for sports goes in my life, so in my life, there you go. I had, nerdy culture, meaning toy collecting and games, magic tricks, right? Those two things were constantly in there. And I didn't like anything else. Just let's get that straight. I mean, it was very narrow-minded, meaning if it didn't have a monster or some sort of goblin or an orc or a vampire, I didn't care. And it didn't matter. I was told at an early age by, not my mom or dad necessarily, but teachers and whatnots, that I should broaden my subjects. But I didn't like other subjects. So I had certain things I really did like, and I don't have an answer of why. Some of the things I could piece together of why. I had people introduce me to certain things in a manner that allowed me to discover things on my own. Rewind that and hear what I just said, because that's exactly what it was. They revealed things to me, but still let me discover certain elements of it, right? Model kits were definitely a part of all of this. I constantly was building model kits, as you can see behind me. Most of those are model kits. Actually, most of all this is, but... So, fast forward now a little bit more into my middle school. And Dan says, yeah, here's Dan. I'm going to read Dan right now. He said, the nerds in school were the coolest kids in school. They listened to the best music, didn't give a damn what other people thought about them, and did not mess with anyone. Really, you said it, Dan. That's it. We weren't, the nerd scene and the punk rock scene did have some different elements. I did notice at an early age that the punk rock scene and the metal scene were scenes. And there were scenesters and people signing up for it because you immediately had power if you wore an outfit and put on a t-shirt. You see, it was easy to dress up like a punk, okay? You could put an outfit on, listen to the music, and be like, I'm a punk rocker, right? But it meant nothing because for me, punk rock's internal. And the game nerds, you can't fake it. You either know it or you don't. You're either a miniature painter or you're not. You're either reading the rule books. Dude, look at this. This is the rule book for Dungeon Crawl Classics. How many people like to read rule books that are this thick? You know? So, to me, there was a difference in the nerd scene and the punk rock scene. But let's fast forward a bit. Jack Pierce and Glenn Danzig, says Bob Murphy. Wait, spent hours and hours in the weird section of libraries. Love the movie. Yeah, me too. Oh, wow. Yeah, we had similar tastes, for sure. Jack Pierce, famous makeup artist who invented the Frankenstein makeup and the Wolf Man and the Mummy, I believe. And clearly Glenn Danzig. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, me too. I agree, Ashworth. So I eventually became sporty in two ways. I skateboarded everywhere. That's how I got around. I broke bones skateboarding, doing tricks and riding ramps, and we did launch ramps. I've broken my foot, my hand, and my arm. I've done all sorts of stuff. So I liked skateboarding as a sport because it was a means of transportation, and I got exercise, and it just seemed great. And I still skateboard to this day. I mean, I still use it as a main means of transportation. And I really got into freshwater fishing, bass, trout, catfish, bluegill, whatever. And eventually hunting and camping, outdoor stuff. That was my sport. That's what I like for sports. I'm an outdoorsman. I like guns. I like shooting. I like that. That's what I always liked. Fast forward a little more into the future, and surfing would become a major part of my life. It just became part of my way of getting exercise and having fun. And the beach is right here. So, how great was it when someone brought in a Fangoria mag? Yeah, because I didn't buy every one. They were expensive. So, yeah, some people would buy it and bring it in, and we'd all look at it. True. So, I eventually discovered music. And I discovered the music that's not popular. The music that you couldn't discover on TV. You had to have someone play it for you that they had the CD. Literally, like, here it is. Or not the CD. It was a records and tapes then. And so eventually I discovered punk rock and metal and all the good stuff that you weren't allowed to hear. And that led to me learning how to play the bass guitar, which ultimately is what opened up my life in New York City. I came here as a performer, quickly getting work, building puppets and doing little bit parts and things. But then I started playing bass in Toilet Boys, and that opened up not only just the doorway to New York City, but I got to literally fulfill some of my wildest childhood fantasies. Literally, I can't make it up. I have other episodes about my Toilet Boy stuff. But so right there, from music to, my sporting hobbies, whatever it is, to magic and to gaming and toys. Those things. That's it. There's nothing else in there. Anything else that's in there is a facet of one of those things. And so when I say Hobbies saved my life, It literally started at, okay, so I'm going to go through a few little arcs here because I know people here. It is an addiction, and I've used it to replace other addictions I was trying to get rid of. Okay? And I gamed it a bit. But at an early age, I found purpose. I always joke around that humans don't have any purpose, which we don't. We're not born with a purpose, other than you're just alive, right? But as a specific purpose, like, right? We don't. If you're coming from my point of view, it's definitely the absurdist point of view, which is we're born in a literally a purposeless universe, but we have evolved as a biological creature to seek purpose. We've gotten to that point. So it's a little bit of a problem. But I solved it early. At an early age, I knew right away that my will to power was going to be not that I was going to be this big, strong, powerful guy. I never thought of that as a will to power. I always thought my will to power is ultimately based on my happiness. And when I saw something that made me happy, I took it seriously. I focused on it, and I pushed myself a little farther at the things I liked. And quickly I saw what it does. When you take something that you know a lot about and you put another magnifying glass above the one you're already using, you notice more details. And all of a sudden, you start to unlock secrets. And, make more humans. You're right. Which is why, Ruth just said make more humans. That's the purpose. That's why we have bad habits that we evolved with. Most of our natural inclinations are deemed as bad or negative in modern worlds. But they were evolved to get you to the next thing, not to give you a better future or not to make you live past 40. You know? And so at an early age, I had a purpose. It was like, I like these things and I'm going to focus on them no matter what. And if somebody's telling me to focus on this, I might keep an eye on it for a second to keep them quiet, but I'm actually paying attention to this. So while I'm supposed to be doing my homework here, I'm going to put just as much time into my own homework over here. And that's what I did from day one. From kindergarten to first grade, that's how I was behaving. I knew by second grade I sucked at school. They told me that I had a learning disability, which I do. I know I do. I can see it. But it didn't matter because I had other things that I put the focus on. And I didn't care. I knew I wasn't going that route. I knew. And I knew that if I ultimately wanted to be happy, if I went that route, it wasn't my route. It was somebody else's way. And I knew this at an early age. I'm very lucky that I saw this. I really am. I really think it's a little bit of luck involved that I was able to notice that if I didn't do it this way, it would be the other way, clearly. Now, fast forward to times in my life where I had problems. So let's go to my high school area. So when I was in high school, I was actually very busy. I wasn't doing well in school, but I was already starting to do shows. And that means I was learning how to do magic shows and make money. And I loved making money doing magic shows. My will to power was, I don't have to work in a fast food joint. I can do one show. You know what's funny? No joke. Right here. This is no joke, folks. This is a performance contract from Steve Ungst Productions. This is 1990. And this is this one? Are they the same or are they different? Oh no, they're different. Yeah, this was also 1990. This was for $125. That's how much I was getting paid in 1990 to do an hour-long magic show. And I was just a kid. Now, that was good money for back. Oh, hey, sis. What's up, sister? So, I was doing that in high school, right? But at the same time, I was doing theater, like hardcore theater, like long-lined plays that I had parts in. Some of them were in my middle school or high school. Some of them were at Penn State University. I was auditioning for shows around town, regional theaters I was getting parts in, right? So I was doing that, rehearsing late at night. I was going to see punk rock shows, playing board games, skateboarding, doing magic shows, and I was partying really hard. And I mean really hard. I'm talking drugs and alcohol, the whole 9 yards. And I'm talking at a very high level. And so it was not good. I mean, I was definitely pushing the envelope to places I shouldn't. I was hanging out with some bad people. I was hanging out with nice people and good people, but I was also hanging out with some bad dudes. And so I eventually knew I had to stop boozing. The booze was getting in the way. There was no way I was going to be able to do it. And so eventually, my first year of college, second year actually, I cut the booze out. I actually haven't had a drink coming up on 30 years. Now, I partake in the green, okay? Let's get that straight. But the green, the booze, I'm out. It got in the way. And I had a hard time stopping because of the physical addiction and the societal addiction and all that. And I replaced it with, I went to rehab meetings. I did the group therapy thing. It works. But I replaced it with miniature painting. I was already painting miniatures. So I already knew how. It wasn't that good. And then it went from a few here and there to painting armies. And I have in the other room 9 Warhammer armies. I used to have more. I sold all my 40K stuff. I only have fantasy. I literally was like, I need to replace the addiction with another addiction that I enjoy. And it made me get even deeper into the hobby. So at any moment in my life where I felt naked or alone, I just looked at one of my many hobbies that I am already in. Not many. I always use the word many. It's not that many. It's magic, gaming, and playing the bass, really. Those things. The monster movies and all of that is the accoutrements to those things. But ultimately, I would just pick one of them and focus in. And so, thank you, my sis, Yvette. I don't need congratulated only because my reward was a given. It was like immediately I was given. It is what it is. It's just, I made it, I replaced it with something fun and better. Yeah, so hobbies, whatever they may be, if you keep returning to them and keep on them, they get layered and detailed, and your wisdom becomes almost on the level of a master knowledge of a subject. And so we need people to be masters of obscure subjects. We're the ones that preserve histories that get lost. And so, oh, here, let me put these away. I don't want to lose. I love these old contracts. I'm so glad I saved them because nobody believes me. Look, 125 in 1990. Do you know how long you had to work at Taco Bell to make that? This was great. So that's one example of it literally like saving my life. Ooh. I was literally going to drink myself to death, and like it was clear. It was like replace it with something more fun and productive. Now, let's fast forward. I'm sober. I'm in New York. I'm busy. I mean, busy. I would never have been able to be in New York City with no money, no trust funds. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. And here I am playing in a band and hanging out with rock stars. Sobriety kept me focused. It really did. And while that was going on, I was getting better at magic. And I was getting better at gaming and fun. I mean, I was still never got rid of anything. If you look at what I do right now or in the last few days for fun, it's literally all the same things I was doing in 8th grade. I'm listening to the same music. I'm reading the same types of books. I'm playing games. I'm doing the same things at a much higher level and a much more detailed level. So a few years ago when the pandemic was going on, and it was just a royal, and I'll say it in honor of No Zalthon, shit show, okay? My mama, who's in here, she wasn't feeling well, and I was helping her, and my sister wasn't feeling well. A lot of people weren't feeling well, having health problems and whatnot, and I wasn't working because of the pandemic and all this stuff. And, I lost all my work within seconds. Literally in a few weeks, I had a bunch of jobs booked, and they were all gone. I was okay. And then about 8 months later, I did have a breakdown. And it was a good one because it triggered a few things and a few habits. And one of them is when you feel naked and alone and purposeless, find one of your old purposes and dig deep again and see what happens. Oh, I do think it's over, Ruth. I do. We can debate that on another subject. And even if it's not, I could care less, being honest. I've seen other things that are way worse than that stuff. Yeah. Especially now. Let's add in the World War III showing up too, which is, it's the closest with the nuclear talk that I like. Vaccine companies and viruses and all that stuff. I do think it's coming back, and I don't think it's going to be this pandemic. It's going to be a new one. But anyway, different subject. The subject is that no matter what, whoever's bugging out on whatever subject, honestly, at the end of the day, you have to do something. Something. And I always used to say to people, if you have no purpose and you don't know what to do and you're ready to jump off a bridge, the easiest solution is to figure out what food you like, get out a recipe or look one up, and then go to the grocery store, buy the ingredients, and come home and make it. You've created purpose immediately, which is you're going to feed yourself. You're going to prepare a meal, one that you enjoy, hopefully, right? And if you don't enjoy meals, then randomly pick one and make it, right? And you're feeding yourself, and hopefully it's healthy, and you're, dealing with that subject too. So, honestly, there's a solution there, right? But for me, it was more than that. So during the pandemic, everybody's online and doing this and that. I sat down and I thought, what subject have I never jumped on that I really want to, that I missed, that and I was like, no, there aren't any. Like, I kind of went through everything I always liked, and if I really liked it, I went towards it. Now, there was one subject I was curious about, and I kind of knew I would like it, and that was the subject of just straight up philosophy. I knew it was interesting, but I didn't know the nuts and bolts of it. I didn't understand what it meant to have it as a hobby of sorts. I wasn't sure if it was boring or not. It seemed like it leaned on the boring, but with a quick little nudge into the subject, everybody started reading more during the pandemic. I mean, really. Oh, someone just said Polari. Who's Ryan the man? Polari. That's funny. Camping? Well, camping is purpose. You have to eat and make shelter, right? It's similar to making your own meal. It's making home and shelter. So that's similar. Camping. It is true. If you're depressed, go camping. I've used camping to get out of my head, of course. The thing I wanted to say, I was on a trip about something, not Polari, although Polari's funny that you mentioned that, because I was speaking Polari in my last show. Fabulosa! What was I going to say? It was something about, so, in your darkest time, right? A purpose that you had before, like for instance, for me, I love occult study. I like reading about the occult. And I like reading about esoteric stuff on a philosophical level. And immediately, the first thing I noticed about philosophy, I forget what book I started with. It was either Seneca or I think it was Aurelius. But it was easy to read. I was like, all right, this is easy to read, and I get what's going on. And it wasn't a subject that oh, I love this. A motorcycle tent. I love this. Oh, yeah. No, look up, okay, Ruth, look up Polari on YouTube, and you're going to see a video of a scene. It's a film. Like someone made like a scenario of two dudes in a park in England speaking to Polari with each other. It's a must-see. It's translated. It's really interesting. Watch it without reading the translation first and see if you can guess what they're talking about. You'll be completely lost. Oh, interesting on the Bowie thing, Ryan. I don't know about that. So philosophy fit into the occult knowledge thing for me. It went into the idea of what is reality. What is good? What is bad? What is reality? Who am I? The big questions in life that religion claims to answer, and fails miserably. I mean, miserably. And I haven't found all the answers, or any of them for that matter. But it went into some of the things I learned in philosophy, and this is what I'm getting at to end the show. The things that I learned about playing the bass, I use in my magic. The things I learned in my magic, I use in playing in a band. All of it goes together. I use each one of my hobbies to help the other hobby. Something I learn here, I apply it there. So, one of the things in philosophy that people forget is it's not just about reading, it's about applying and thinking and chewing and learning and making it a hobby, making it a lifestyle, making it part of you. Because when you aren't working well, then your habits kick in. Okay? It's what they teach you in rehab. You know, they call it like a toolbox. Like you need to have a toolbox. So when your willpower ain't working, the toolbox kicks in. Okay? I wrote this down. This is interesting. Now, I know people that'll be like, you should be able to do this with willpower and use your willpower. But I always joke around. What if your willpower button's broken? And I really mean it. Like the button in your head, the nerve endings and the neurons that are the part of your mind that give you the strength to overcome. What if they're damaged? And I literally mean that. Damaged. Okay? What does that mean? If you don't have willpower, can you will yourself to have it? That's what I wrote down. How? Now, I don't think you can, actually. In the moment. In the moment, you cannot. Just like you can't choose what you like. I've mentioned this before on the show. Think about it. You can't choose what you like. You can't choose what you believe in. You can't. It's out of your power. You think you have the power to do it? I challenge you. You can't choose what you like. You either like it or you don't. Now, you can train yourself to like things. You can train yourself to believe in things. You can do it to yourself. You can also have an outside influence train what you like and believe. And this is where it gets very interesting and dark and brainwashy. And where are the lines that don't get crossed or crossed? And this is the part that fascinates me. Why is one able to pull themselves up off the ground and pull it off? Why is one able to allow a support system to help them? How many people have a great support system but they still fail? That's very common. So it's interesting. There's a lot of factors involved. This is why I don't like blanket statements about problems in our world. It's only this, and it's bigotry, and it's hate, and it's guns. These are such blanket bad guys that if you put a magnifying glass on top of these, quote, problems, you will see some of the darkest self-reflecting things you will ever notice. And that is, humanity is not cool. It's a mess. It's cool, but it also has rough edges. That's what I mean to say. I see I'm using old language. I try not to talk like that. Ooh, what's this? Ruth just got a book. Oh, wow. You just got a book called Fabulosa. It's the history of British Polari. Ooh, that's cool. Very cool. I didn't know there was a book like, I mean, I knew there probably was one, but there it is. William, the philosophy of Satanism helped me work in a machine shop manager dealing with people, but not so much with running the machine and pressing buttons. Oh, okay. Well, okay, but you could say that the philosophy, the actual, technical part, you could say that something like Satanism, the philosophy encourages deep study, obviously. That's one of the tenets, is to study. Like, go deeper. As soon as you think you go deep, go deeper. You know? This is something similar that Satanism has with Judaism, in the sense that scholarly effort is applauded. Yeah, very cool. Blanket statements are used for people who don't want to take the time to figure out the basics. Yeah, well, there you go. It's very common. Everybody needs a bad guy. Everybody needs a good guy. Everybody's looking for a frame. Do I frame everything as oppressor and oppressed? Yeah. Do I frame everything as good or evil? Do I frame everything as funny or serious? Seriously, I mean, people pick one of these models and then literally the rose glasses taint the whole thing. It doesn't mean that there's no legitimacy behind the cause in its core value, but it does, I think, put on a pair of glasses that might also taint things where not need be, is what I'm saying. I have a confession. I used to absolutely despise philosophy, but it was at my most nihilistic part of my life. I can see an ultimate nihilistic moment of existentialistic horror that, yeah, philosophy would be like, screw that. It's just, why are you even bothering at this point? Interesting. I like that. Oh, you got it. Fabuloso, a cleaning product. That's right, it is one. I hate the smell of that stuff. I bought it before. I don't like the smell. It's Fabulosa? Yeah. Fabulosa. It's the only Polari word I've ever heard normal people use in a kind of fun manner. The only thing I had to say in Polari that I love saying is, how bonatavada, you dolly old leak. Which means, how great to see your beautiful face. It's like a greeting. How bonatavada. Your dolly old eek. Dolly is pretty. Oh, so dolly. Eek is face. Your eek. Yeah. Evil's anything that harms me, and good is what helps me. I mean, everybody should have that as what's good and evil. Yeah, I honestly, at the end of the day, my hobbies not only saved my life, they became my life. And that's what I wanted to end on today. I took them very seriously early on. They all have paid off. If I croaked tomorrow, please tell everybody I had a great time gaming. I had a great time performing magic shows and learning about the subject. I had a great time creating moments of wonder. And for me, my moments of wonder came from reading and from monster movies and collecting toys. And to all the wonderful people I've met through all of these things, that's it. They became part of my life. And I hope that people watching this, and if you're liking this, hit the like and subscribe and all that crap. If you want any advice, and that is, first of all, figure out what you like. That's it. That's the first part. Most people don't. I know a lot of people that don't know what they like. I feel bad for them. I don't know where that comes from. A dullness of the senses of some sort. It could be a developmental state where things don't excite you. I don't know what the chemical neuron process of that is, but I have a lot of bona noche. Bona noche? Ooh, what's that? Bona is good. Noche is what? Is that good night? Bona noche. Sounds like good night. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just guessing. Yeah, it's been a great life. I look forward to, if I get to live another 20, 30, 40, 50 years, how much more am I going to learn about games? Will I ever get bored? I doubt it. There's no way. There have been moments where I pull off of the games a bit, not as heavy on them. And when I look why, it's because I needed glasses. Seriously. I remember at one point in my life, I hadn't painted miniatures in about 6 months. And mind you, I paint almost every day. I might skip a day or here and there, but it's almost every day, a little bit. There was about 6 months that went by, no painting. And I was like, yeah, I just don't care. I don't feel like it, and I don't miss it. It's just whatever. I'll eventually probably sell a lot of these games and miniatures. I don't need them. Well, I put on a pair of glasses in a drugstore, saw my fingerprints, immediately started reading a lot more, immediately started enjoying miniature painting again, and it started up again. So the reasons why I fell out of my thing was it had to do with a situation not working, which was my eyes. Yes, cycling through your hobbies. That's what it is. And, pick a few and just, as soon as you're bored with one, go to the next, but you got to go back. You got to go back. So find what you want. If you get bored with something, return. One thing I teach when I'm teaching Magic, especially the hard stuff, is to get your new knowledge to enter into your subconscious habit brain. In essence, the part that you're brainwashing yourself with. Sometimes you need a break. You do. You have to take off a week or two of whatever you're learning. Like whatever hard skill I'm learning, take a break or two, take a week off, jump in it again. When you jump in it again, the knowledge has soaked into other parts of your mind. It's absorbed in a new spot. And when you approach it again, it's got a different vibe. Try it out. Folks, this was a good show. I had a good time tonight. I hope you guys did too. I want to give shout outs to everybody in here. Ruth and Fallon, and the discussions going on in here are great. William and all the people watching, big shout out for coming here. You inspire me to say something that means something interesting. The people that show up here to listen. Yeah, I mean, I have a handful of hobbies, and I'm in big lull right now. Don't care about it. I mean, it happens. I would say, dig into something old. Look at something you might have been interested in and really haven't even approached in years. An old hobby. And that might snap you out. Seriously, look deep. Like, look at something you liked in high school or in college, or that's what I would do. Like if I'm in a lull creatively, I start thinking about middle school and high school, and it makes me like spark up. Yeah, thank you, Ruth. Yeah, party on, everybody. Yeah, this was good. Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming in. Really, if you're new to the show, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Trying to get my numbers up constantly. And if you like to donate, sure, go right ahead. There's a link in the description. I'm trying to do these every week. The next one of these shows is most likely going to be not that. Where's my camera? A Boardgasm episode on how to play Dungeon Degenerates. I want to do a first turn. The game is not easy. The rule book, although not giant like one of these, it's still a very detailed rule book with a lot of options. And so I wanted to do a show on it. And I want to promote the game. I mean, Dungeon Degenerates, the company Goblinko, Sean Alberg, the artist, and his wife who run the company, they are the real deal. They're punk rocker parents. They are independently, I think they homeschool their kids. They're real punk rockers, okay? And they created their own company, and they're DIY. And I really, really like supporting DIY projects that I like. I do. It's fun for me and easy. It's easy to do. So check them out. That's right, sis. Cheers, Yvette. Yeah, my sister she had a challenge and she's getting through it. So it's great, right? When you get through something and you find comfort and contentment with some of the simple things that bring you joy, it's kind of cool. And that's what hobbies do. Sometimes hobbies lead to money. I try not to think of my hobbies as making money. Like gaming for me is not a money-making thing. It's pure hobby. Magic is I use it to make money, but my love for magic and my love for creating magic, it's beyond just money-making. It's my life. So yeah, Goblinko rules. If you're watching, Sean Alberg and family, yeah, thanks for all the effort you guys put into making something fun for people to enjoy. I've been enjoying this game since the day I got it. How many years has it been? 5 years already? Or 6? I can't tell. Yeah. Party on! You know what? Yeah, that's kind of cool. A Zoom of Dungeon Degenerates. How would that work? Let me think about that. There might be a way to run a campaign online where we can all have a map. Because what's funny is the map board, you don't really need it while you're you just have to know what the numbers are. Interesting thought. Well, folks, I'm going to go eat and drink my fake beer. This is non-alcoholic beer, the good stuff. If you ever like non-alcoholic beer, come on, focus. There it is. All Out. Athletic Brewing. This stuff's fantastic. Party on, everybody. Enjoy your Monday. We're in February, and let's have a great year. Love it. I'm going to take us out with the outro. And you know what I'm going to do? Everybody was bitching about the Grammys. I think I'm going to play my favorite video about the Grammys, and then I'll hit the end.
Oh, it was an absurd disaster. It was a debacle. We went, they nominated us for a Grammy, and then they didn't even want us to come to the damn party. We showed up anyway, hung around until Michael Jackson was done, and then beat it before Billy Ray Cyrus hit the stage. I mean, I could go on and on. We were posing for some stupid photograph with Michael Green, the president of NARIS at the time, and the LA Times had asked me, they said, Oderus, what do you think about being nominated for a Grammy? And I replied, quite honestly, it means nothing to me. It is a meaningless accolade bestowed upon Guar by a retarded child. Now, apparently that didn't go over very well with the showbiz community, whom I live to destroy. Now, let me tell you something. Those fucking celebrities giving each other awards is the last thing they need. Heaping gift bags with $50,000 watches inside of them, the privileged elites of your society, heaping prizes and praises and meaningless awards. What about an award for that girl who's working 60 hours a week so she can feed her 2 kids because her husband is overseas fighting your freaking war so you guys can have your gas-guzzling fucking... Sorry, I get a little worked up about that shit. And then Dave Grohl gets up there on the Grammys. He's like, hey, I'm Dave Grohl. Oh, God, please let me suck some more corporate cocks. I get some more cocks in my mouth. I'm like, quick, let's get some more cocks on stage for Dave Grohl to suck. He's not sucking enough. We think he can suck some more. Get Billy Joe from Green Day over here. Let him suck some cocks too. They're like, okay, bring him in, guys, bring him in. Still, there wasn't enough cocks for Dave Grohl to suck. He actually, do you know that Dave Grohl had his teeth removed so he could fit more cocks in his mouth?